Hey everybody, and welcome to today's News Tonight, the weeknight news show where we're joined by special guests and our lovely patrons to discuss the day's gaming news. I'm your host, Ash Paulson, and I'm joined today by my wonderful friends and GVG co-founders, Derek Bittner and Steve Bowling, along with our very special guest, Blessing Adeoye Jr. from Kinda Funny Games. Blessing, we're so honored to have you here on the show, man. How's it going?
I'm doing really good. Thanks so much for having me. I'm really happy to be here. Like I talk to Steve all the time, right? And like see you guys launch GVG and have it be such a cool thing. It's been super exciting to watch it and see. And yeah, I'm glad to finally be here to be on content with you guys.
Man,
thank you so much.
Great to have you.
Yeah, it's wild.
What
to
a
me to
day,
think that
too.
The last time we talked was before the launch, was when we streamed Ghost of Tsushima Legends together.
Yeah. That was a really fun time.
That was
yeah,
fun.
man, I need to play more of that. I've been trying to get more and more people into Ghost of Tsushima so that I have some multiplayer to play. I even hopped in on your Twitch channel and played a little bit of that with you. But man, that game is so damn good, and I haven't really messed with it since the PS5 update, so I really need to try it.
Yeah. No, I don't even usually go for multiplayer experiences like that, and even I was having a great time. So I'd love to revisit it. It's just, too many games, right? Too little time, as I always say.
That is always the case.
Yes. So we obviously have a Nintendo Direct, a full-length general Nintendo Direct to discuss. But before that, Michaelphone, our lovely patron Michaelphone, is the sponsor for today's episode. And he says, are you tired with the negativity in games coverage? Are you looking for a new game to play? Well, good news. Michaelphone is starting a new series finding all the good in media that's considered underrated, forgotten, or downright mediocre. The first 2 episodes have been released talking about Dead Island and everybody's favorite, and that's in quotes, Bobcat, Bubsy. What could possibly go wrong? And once the channel hits 2,500 subscribers, there will be a very special episode on Fast and the Furious Crossroads, which I know I got to check out. I'm a huge Fast and Furious fan. So make sure to check out Michaelphone on YouTube. We will have a link in the description below for those of you watching the VOD version. But for those of you in our live audience watching right now, I'm going to post the link, or paste the link, in the chat right now, and please head over to Michaelphone's channel and give him a subscribe. Let's get him up as many subs as we possibly can.
Absolutely.
So,
get that 2,500 so Ash can watch Fast and Furious.
Exactly. And Michaelphone, thank you again for being such a staunch supporter of the channel and for sponsoring today's episode. With that said, guys, it's direct discussion time. It is. We just had our first full-length General Nintendo Direct in a year and a half, which is... It both does and doesn't feel like it's been that long, weirdly enough. Oh, thank you for pinning that, Steve, or Derek. Thank you for doing that. And, so we have a lot to talk about, but Blessing, you are our special guest today, so let's go ahead and start with, we're going to start with our overall thoughts on the Direct. And Blessing, how are you feeling about an hour and 15 minutes after Direct time?
Oh, man. I should preface this by saying I definitely set my expectations way too high for this Direct. I'm at the place where, it's been over a year since a proper Nintendo Direct, in the way that it is not like a specialized thing. It is a Direct that is covering the slate of Nintendo titles coming. And so with that, when you look at 2020 and when you look at what we got last year, the big games from Nintendo were Animal Crossing and then Paper Mario and some things here or there, right? Super Mario, the collection, the 3D game collection, 3D All-Stars. That's a decent year, but I was kind of looking forward to seeing more titles, and I figure with COVID and all this stuff probably pushing their development that we'd see games get pushed into 2021. And so with that, I was like, okay, cool. Maybe this Direct will be the one that truly blows the lid off, and we see all these cool games announced, and we get more info about Breath of the Wild and a new Mario and exciting games coming from left and right. And this Direct wasn't necessarily that, right? Like, this Direct had, I think, announcements that were for many different types of fans, and I think for that, it was a pretty cool time. But overall, I'll say that I was pretty let down by the overall quality of announcements. I was looking forward to some bigger things than what we got. Mario Golf is probably one of the games I am the most excited for out of this direct, and I don't know. I feel like for that to be the case, that doesn't speak too highly of it, because even though I enjoy Mario Golf and I'm very excited for Mario Golf, and I'm also excited for No More Heroes 3, those aren't like the tent poles that I want from Nintendo. Those don't necessarily for me characterize 2021 as being a banger year the way that I felt like 2017 and 2018 and other years were.
Right.
That's
fair.
fair. I went into it. I always keep my hype very low with these sort of things because I know how Nintendo works. They are fickle with what you expect. They'll give you a huge hype things when you least expect it, and when you're like, "Oh, this is the best opportunity to show this thing," they do nothing with it. It's always very odd. But I came away from this pretty happy with we got our new Smash Fighter, which I'm super happy about. We got a surprise release to me. Never expected to see this game localized in Famicom Detective Club. Mario Golf, as you said, Blessing, looks fantastic in a way that Ace has kind of revitalized Mario Tennis. And I'm weirdly excited for Miitopia. Maybe not for the game itself. Like, it's good on its own, but for what that game kind of represents to me. And we'll get into it once we actually start talking about it. And of course, Skyward Sword HD, which is always fun.
Right.
Like, I think there's enough major announcements here for me that I'm like, yeah, I'm sold. I'm happy with this. It kept me interested from announcement to announcement. I didn't really feel much downtime with this direct.
Sure. I think it helps that I truly was not expecting any Breath of the Wild 2 or Metroid Prime 4 or new Mario. We just got Bowser's Fury, so I think it's time to let Mario kind of chill for a bit. So I wasn't expecting anything like Odyssey 2, Metroid Prime 4, Breath of the Wild 2. So I didn't feel really let down in that sense. I was maybe thinking we'd see something with 2D Metroid, but we didn't, and that's kind of a shame. But I think because I wasn't expecting any of those big tentpole things to appear in this direct, I didn't really feel let down. And we got a really cool surprise in Splatoon 3, which is a tentpole title I don't think any of us predicted. So I'm kind of sitting in between a 7 and an 8. I'd probably go like a 7.5 out of 10 for me right now. Maybe like a B or a B-ish level for Direct. But I typically enjoyed it, and there were some really cool surprises I was not expecting, like Legend of Mana. Getting a Legend of Mana remaster with an arranged soundtrack. That's exciting to me. We got a new No More Heroes 3 trailer. I'm not normally the kind of person to be into Mario Golf, but that speed golf mode, man,
dude,
that looks like my jam. Yeah. So that was pretty cool. But Steve, you haven't weighed in yet, man. How are you feeling about this direct?
Yeah. So after we finished recording and I had a minute to process everything that had happened, one, I will say there are some moments that were crazy hype for me. You guys know I lost my shit when Splatoon 3 showed up. That was not something I was expecting. I think that was a real nice surprise, even if it is 2022. I think that Skyward Sword HD is a big one for me. I love Skyward Sword. I like the Nintendo always gets me with the special edition hardware stuff. So the Joy-Con were pretty dope. I like the design on those. I got that red Mario Switch back here hiding somewhere.
Nice.
So obviously they know how to take money directly out of my wallet on those types of things. Pyra and Mythra were cool, but the more I kind of sit back and I think critically about what we saw, not as a Nintendo fan, but I think critically about it, I'm like, there wasn't a ton of stuff there. There wasn't. It was a good direct, not a great direct, is what I would say. I liked it. I definitely enjoyed it. There were some hype ass moments for me, but at the same time, I sit back and I think, okay, well, what am I going to be playing soon? Nothing. there's
summer,
still nothing for me to be playing. Yeah, summer is a little ways away though. Fall Guys sounded cool coming to the Switch. I still want to know more about that. But that was a nice thing. That's a broad ass window though, because when we all know when a publisher says summer, they mean like the last day of summer.
Yeah, they mean like August.
Yeah. Fall Guys coming out late August, early September or something. But I will say that I was very pleasantly surprised by Mario Golf. I do think that Speed Golf looked crazy fun. I mean, that is, I love it when games like this lean into the fact that they're not fair. So I am absolutely here for it. I think that'll be a great game, local co-op, to just have a few drinks with friends and talk shit and intentionally screw with each other. So I'm definitely going to be playing a lot of that. But overall, good direct. Nothing super blew me away, but I think Skyward Sword and Splatoon 3, are huge ones, huge ones that, but again, they're coming way later in the year. So I'll be excited when they're here, but I feel like they're a little too far off for me to just be super crazy hyped right now.
Skyward Sword is definitely one for me that I think if they had dropped it on Twitter on a random day, I'd be way more excited for it than them busting out Eiji Aonuma and him being like, "Hey guys, so I don't have Breath of the Wild 2, but here's some Skyward Sword." Like that was the thing that had me like, "Oh dang it!" Like,
yeah, I think a lot of how they sold it was what took away from it. Because I agree, if Nintendo just shadow dropped Skyward Sword on Twitter, like, "Hey, it comes out in a week," I would lose my mind.
Oh my god, yeah, I'd be all about that.
Yeah, but now I've got 4 months to, or right? Was it June?
July 16th. So yeah, about 4 months.
I've got four-ish months to wait for it, and I mean, I'll get hyped in between July 9th and July 16th. I'll be real excited, but I feel like it's just going to be kind of, I want to know a lot more about what Nintendo's doing for the 35th anniversary of Zelda, because we don't actually know that they really are doing anything. I mean, Skyward Sword is cool. We're getting it.
I think they'll do.
Nintendo doesn't really do a lot of stuff for anniversaries. There's a lot of anniversaries for them this year, and I don't see them really celebrating many of them. It could happen. It's hard to say, but I think, you know, that leaves the door open that there could be more to this Skyward Sword port than we think, or that we know. And I think the other thing that kind of needs to be pointed out for this Direct is that they really did stick close to the this is from now until summer. Very few games were beyond summer.
Right.
So the second half of the year is still pretty wide open as far as what could be announced, what hype things could be coming. I mean, maybe that's faint hope or something like that, but at least there's that they still have some things kept in their back pocket.
I still expect there to be some sort of Pokemon event in the coming weeks and months that details probably a Pokemon game coming this fall. I think that's the thing that I kind of expected out of this Direct, was more setting the tone for the whole year. And even though I don't feel like that was as much of the case, there are some really cool niche things to shout out that were in this Direct that were really exciting, right? Like was it Triangle Strategy? You know, that game looks really cool, even though it's a weird working title. And we had our live stream over on Kind of Funny, and I made the same joke, but like when they announced Project Octopath Traveler, it very much felt like they announced it and everybody was like, "Oh, that's a funny working title," and then it just stuck, and at a certain point they're just like, "Oh, all right, we just gotta roll with this as the title because that's what everybody knows this game as now." I wonder if that's gonna happen with Triangle Strategy, where they break and they're like, "No, this is the title now," even though it's goofy.
I have a feeling this one's not going to stick in the same way, because I don't think I've seen a single person like Octopath Traveler. Like, okay, I kind of get that one. They're having fun with that title. Triangle Strategy does not sell well. You look at a game called Triangle Strategy, is like, no, I'm good.
That is a dope ass mobile game.
Not a good name.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Also, I also do want to shout out Neon White, the Annapurna game. That game also looks really cool. And anytime Annapurna comes out with a new game that they're publishing, I'm always like, all right, I can trust this. Like they are a seal of quality.
It's such a
I have said the same
unique idea.
I love Annapurna stuff. Sayonara Wild Hearts is one of my favorite games.
Oh my god,
that was like one of the best games of 2020 or 2019, excuse me. And they are a surefire thing for me, Annapurna. I think some of the blowback on Skyward Sword HD is a bit much, and I see a lot of people complaining that Skyward Sword HD is $60. And on its face, I understand why that sucks, but at the same time, from what we've already seen, which isn't that much, they are adding a lot to this. I mean, it's not as though that engineering button controls for a fully motion-controlled game is a mean feat. That's not something you just throw in. That requires a reworking of the game. So we're getting button controls in addition to reworked motion controls for the Joy-Con, in addition to 60 FPS, $1 for each frame, right? But that actually, to me, is pretty exciting, because I think Skyward Sword's art style is going to look really nice in HD, and to have that in 60 FPS as well is, I think, pretty exciting on its face. So we'll see. Hopefully there is some more additional content coming that we learn about.
I think there likely will be, because how much did Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD come out for? The usual $50 for Wii U games.
Yeah,
I'm
I think
assuming
it was $50.
This is nothing new for Nintendo. This is just how they price these things.
Are they going to ditch the Zelda 25th logo at the beginning of the game and replace it with the Zelda 35th logo, though? Because that'd be
really funny.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, one of my favorite things about Aonuma presenting this game was how they were trying to sell it to Breath of the Wild people who came into Zelda with Breath of the Wild. It's like, so there are some elements that are in Breath of the Wild that were originally started here, and like these are two very different games. Like, yeah, it's more traditional. And listen, I love Skyward Sword, but as many people have noted, that game is very guided. It's why people started getting tired of the Zelda formula to just such a major degree. I love the story, but
I do also see some shared mechanics between the two in terms of management, inventory stuff.
I'm not discounting that. It's more just I found it funny that he pointed it out to try to sell it.
Thematically, they could almost not be more dissimilar, but I mean, it is. I get it though. I mean, you do have a lot of folks that are new to Zelda with Breath of the Wild, and so of course you're going to want to try to get that much larger audience. Hey, look at this, 9-year-old game that we're re-releasing. It's got the same dude. He had some weird plastic surgery. His face is a little jacked up, but it's fine. Just trust us.
Jacked up. Imposter in the chat reminds us that Twilight Princess HD, for its $49.99 price tag, did come with the Wolf Link amiibo. Physical copies came with the Wolf Link amiibo, so there was some added value there. That is true. I don't think there's anything anybody can say that's going to make people okay with the fact that this port is $60, but depending on how much they're adding, and again, just the addition of the option of button controls is not a simple thing to add to this game, I would think. So I get it, but at the same time, I'm kind of waiting to see what else they're going to add, because I think there will be more than what we've seen so far, personally.
I'm sure there'll be some sort of amiibo connectivity. There might be some sort of nips and tucks here to help it out. It's hard to say for sure, but
going back to Fall Guys for a second, that was something I predicted. I was very happy to get right, but I feel like if I had gone further with the prediction, I would have predicted that it was coming out either as a shadow drop or maybe like March at latest. As the resident Fall Guys fan here, because I play it with a couple of buddies every week, I really like the game. But I do worry that it may run out of steam by summer. Like, I'm worried that summer might be too late for this game to hit Switch. I don't know.
You make a good point, because I think one of the big issues, not even a big issue, one of the small issues I have with Fall Guys is that I think the Battle Pass and the post-game content hasn't been as exciting as the initial launch itself. Like, Fall Guys came out and it was so hyped during that initial week that it launched, and everybody was on it and everybody was talking about it. But the drop off was so strong with that game, even though I know for sure that there are people that are still playing. There's an active community, and people are they're still there that still love Fall Guys. But yeah, I'm with you that who knows if that game is still being talked about later this year. Though I think putting it on Switch just opens up the Switch audience to the game in a way where if you don't have a PlayStation or you're not playing on PC or on other platforms, I think you will get a bump enough out of a Switch release that gets people in.
Good point. And Danilo Imini also says in the chat, I think it's not a decision on their part. Summer is 1 year from release, which is likely the length of their console exclusivity with PlayStation. So that's also a good point. Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, I have to. The one thing I wonder about, I mean, from a technical perspective, is the Switch going to be okay handling a 64-player, like an online 64-player game? It can barely.
I mean, it's not a graphically intensive game, so maybe.
My
those 99 other Tetris players.
When you have all 64 of those little beans on screen, that it'll drop to like 540p or something, just look real rough, even in handheld.
I'm more worried about Nintendo Switch Online. That's where I get like, I don't know how that's going to operate with Fall Guys.
Right. So I guess that's the other question I have is Miitopia. Is it Miitopia? Yeah. Are they going to run this on their own servers, or are they going to rely on Nintendo's like Windows 98 shit that they've got? I mean,
aren't they launching the new thing with Monster Hunter Rise? So it should be better by then, hopefully.
But you also just played 3D World, and that was 4 players, and y'all couldn't get through the map.
Not the best experience. And and I have to say, I've seen Fall Guys. I've seen the FPS kind of buckle under the weight of 64 players on PS4 Pro. It's smooth on PS5, but if PS4 Pro is even dropping frames, I do shudder to think what might happen to the Switch version when we get a full 64-player match going. But maybe that's one of the reasons they're taking till summer, if it isn't just the exclusivity period.
Doodle in the chat points out that Switch handles Fortnite pretty okay. So,
oh man,
there is that.
Yeah, but Fortnite that's Epic Games. Epic Games is like a technological marvel in terms of how they operate.
Yeah,
true. So like they can make Fortnite run on a toaster, and that thing will still run so good.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
Well, there's a big thing we haven't talked about yet that I know Derek especially cannot wait to talk about, and that is the fact that we opened this direct with our Challenger Pack 9 being Pyra and Mythra from Xenoblade 2. It finally happened.
Thank
we got our
God.
Xenoblade
I was
2 character,
so
and it isn't Rex.
worried.
Yeah, it isn't Rex, which is such a cool surprise.
Yeah, everybody assumed it'd be a sort of a linked thing, but now they just dropped Rex. Like, well, he's really not needed. Like, let's give the girls the front and center stage, and it works. And we've seen Pyra and Mythra use their own swords before. It's really cool. I love how they're looking to play. It is. I'm gonna try my hardest to make them a main. Oh, I love Xenoblade 2 so much, and to finally get that recognition there is fantastic. To get spirits, I'm so curious what their classic mode's going to be, and of course, as you always like to mention, Ash, the music. There are so many good tracks they can pull from Xenoblade 2, and I need to talk to Chugga. I have not had a chance yet because this is good stuff. And yeah, as Angel Martinez says, hopefully we even get some Torna music in it.
That would be really cool.
Country. That'd be really cool.
I still need to play that. I've had it since
really
it came
good.
out. I just haven't touched it.
Yeah. I'm just happy, like, even I'm not super hype on a Xenoblade 2 character, I've been predicting that for a while, and I think it makes sense, and we got the ARMS character. Makes sense to also have the Xenoblade 2 character. I'm glad it isn't Rex. We've been talking about how the roster needs more female fighters. We're getting 2 this time, which is awesome. I'm just glad it wasn't a Gen 8 Pokemon, and maybe that's still coming.
Yeah.
But that was my worry. It was either going to be a Gen 8 Pokemon or Crash. I'm sorry, I don't want either one. So for me, this is a win, even if I'm not like the hypest in the world about a Xenoblade 2 character. I think this is a smart first-party addition, for sure.
Yeah,
Smart
absolutely.
in what way? Like addition to the roster-wise, or marketing-wise?
I think it's an addition to the roster that makes sense because, Xenoblade 2 was that other game besides ARMS that was just kind of the timing of their releases just didn't work in terms of getting characters from those games into Smash's roster.
Okay.
But they are 2 important fixtures in Nintendo's first-party lineup, particularly on Switch. So I think just like Min makes a whole lot of sense for modern Nintendo representation, like first-party representation, I think Pyra and Mythra also make sense.
That's fair. If you were going to say marketing, I was going to have to call bullshit. But
no,
it's not marketing.
Although,
it's a legacy, and the Xenoblade Chronicles 2 did sell very well. It is part of that legendary 2017 year for the Switch. Came out of the gate really well. Just did amazing, and I'm just so happy for it. It's really cool. Like I just looked up Chugga's reaction to them getting now announced on Twitter, and him screaming out, "Are you fucking with me?" Which, I think that's how most Xenoblade 2 fans feel. It's like, we kind of gave up hope. We were like, we had that, like maybe, but then all these other third parties, and the more it'll probably be Pokemon or the other more common Nintendo franchises, but to actually get Xenoblade 2 representation and to see them record extra dialogue with get Adam Howden back for just a few lines of dialogue. So, you have that interaction. That's really good. I'm so happy. And I need to check Sky Bennett's, Pyra's voice actress's, Twitter, see what she's saying about this. 'Cause she's always a lot of fun.
Yeah. As you were commenting on the marketing aspect of this announcement, Steve, I do think that it was smart of them to include this in this giant general Nintendo Direct. I don't think this would have worked as well as an announcement on its own, like Sephiroth or Steve or something like that. So I think having this as part of a first-party general Direct was the way to go, to kind of drum up the most hype possible for Pyra and Mythra. Because I just, this wouldn't appeal as much to non-Nintendo fans, like someone like Sephiroth or Steve, right? So, Blessing, we haven't heard from you in a bit, and I would like to get your thoughts. Let's move from the beginning of the Direct to the end. How are you feeling about Splatoon 3? That was a really wacky surprise.
I was like blown away that we got Splatoon stuff, because traditionally I'm not really a Splatoon person, and I didn't really have the expectations at all for Splatoon. And so when that trailer started, and you got the Splatoon character, like the customization and like, you know, choose your look, choose your buddy's look and all that stuff. I was like, are they going for a campaign, or is this going to be a single player like Splatoon adventure? And then it turned out that no, we're just setting the tone, we're just doing the whole thing. I was like, okay, that's awesome. Like this is one of those ones where I'm like, I'm very happy for Splatoon fans, because I know like Splatoon fans are all about it. You know, Splatoon fans are very passionate about Splatoon, and this seems like a really cool. It felt like a really cool way to kind of round out the whole direct.
Right.
Yeah.
As Rubbar Mama X points out, Splatoon 3 removes the gender option, non-binary squids. So that's, you know, that's always cool. And I saw another Twitter post like people reacting to Splatoon. That's it. Other Splatoon fans, look at all the pants options. Like, there's the stuff in there Splatoon fans are all about. And I think that's the cool thing. And I love that new like crossbow weapon they have. I think that's a cool design.
That looked cool. That looked really cool.
There's some really neat things in there, and I am I am not good at Splatoon. I like it. Same. I love the lore. I'm excited for the campaign to see what they'll do this time around, especially with this whole post-apocalyptic setting.
Yeah. That was one thing I saw on Twitter that I thought was fun, where there was somebody tweeted out like Splatoon 3, Paris is dead, because you see the Eiffel Tower just upside down, broken in half.
I will say that Splatoon is one of my favorite multiplayer games. It's one of a few that I can just pick up and do rounds. I'm no good at it like you, Derek, just because I don't know what it is about the Switch Pro controller, but I cannot get my head around how to use motion control with the Switch Pro controller. My hands do not want to do whatever is required of them to play games efficiently with motion control. But I was really excited, like you said, for the lore. I think it's really cool that the last Splatfest determined what the setting for Splatoon 3 will be. I think that is just awesome that they actually base such a huge decision about the game on the outcome of just the community actually going at each other. So I have to see how it continues on just because of that, and also so I can potentially years down the road participate in the final Splatfest for Part 3 to help determine what happens in Part 4, hopefully. But I'm shocked that we're seeing it this soon. I called it out real fast, but then there was a part of me, like in the logical part of my brain, I was like, it hasn't been long enough. It's been 3 years, 4 years, but that doesn't feel like long enough when we haven't seen Mario Kart 9. We haven't seen an announcement of any sequels aside from Breath of the Wild 2 for any other 2017 games. So I was just like, it's too soon. Splatoon wouldn't be the one that they give another sequel to so soon, but hey, here we are. I'm here for it. It's awesome.
I think it just has that pull to it, both in Japan, America, wherever. It's that competitive side. It just hits all those notches. This is Nintendo's hottest new property. It blew up in a way that a lot of their other new, like Pikmin never blew up this way, that's for sure. So I can see them giving this kind of attention to it in this way. And it's fun to see how they interact. Like there's so much fun in here, and the way they have, like, you got a cute salmonid buddy now. Like you have your buddy that you can customize as well. There's just something so appealing to Splatoon in a way that it's hard to describe, because I remember seeing that first trailer and being like, okay, there's squids, it's weird music, interesting. And you see how it plays, like, you know what, this could actually be really good. And then you play it and see what it's all about. It's like, man, this clicks. There's something about it. It just clicks. And I held my own for a while, but now the people are in there and just playing like crazy. I cannot keep up.
Like,
and I'm definitely not going to be able to keep up in Splatoon 3. I'm
going to be
far
so
beyond.
bad at it. Like, people have seen me stream Splatoon 2 before, and it is no joke that I am just really bad at that game. And it's Splatoon in general. But I do enjoy it. And I especially enjoy the single player content in Splatoon. I just like the world and the lore and just the vibe of Splatoon. So I am very excited about this. Even if I will not be able to compete a lot, I'm going to have a lot of fun. I
want my campaign. If they can capture that Octo expansion level of campaign again, I'm so there.
Yep.
Right.
So I saw in the chat, sorry to just derail you, Ash, I'm not sure what you were going to go to next, but I saw in the chat, somebody was curious Oh yeah, here we go. Arcwing. How about No More Heroes 3,
Thank
Blessing?
you.
I know Steve's excited, but how about you,
I
Blessing?
am
Finally, the
waiting
food.
to talk
Finally, the
about.
good stuff.
Yes, finally, man.
Ouch.
I had
I'm
to
just
rewatch the trailer on this one a couple times. I am so damn hyped for this game. Like, I have
Same.
been waiting for Travis to come back, and I get that some people think visually it doesn't look the best, but man, the gameplay I'm seeing here is just everything I want. Like I said, I played No More Heroes 1 last night. Just on the off, I don't know why. I was just feeling like I should play it for a while, and from what I see in this trailer for 3, it captures so much of that numbered No More Heroes game vibe. This shit is good. This is thoroughly good.
Yeah.
You do mini like jobs in between ranking missions, which is just like No More Heroes 1. You have to go do dumb odd jobs to make money, probably to enter. I got the PR for this after the direct ended, and they mentioned that part of the theme for this is that every boss fight, it takes place in a different video game genre. So that's why we saw the turn-based RPG
awesome.
elements. There's survival horror.
That's
there's
so
puzzle
cool.
games. So I think it's going to take a little bit of what they showed us in Travis Strikes Again, where you were kind of entering different games, and apply that to the more traditional No More Heroes formula, which could be cool. I like the idea. I mean, I think that the characters in the world are a big part of what makes No More Heroes so great. And I like to see just how crazy and outlandish they're going to get with it. Because if you have played No More Heroes 1 and 2, man, it gets out there. Real weird.
Yeah.
I know one does.
I very much compare No More Heroes to like Scott Pilgrim, where it very much knows what it is, and it is a homage to video games that's very much stylish and attitude driven, and don't go for it for like, I don't know, the depth of like a Souls game or like something that's super deep and analytical. You just go for it to go to it to have fun and experience the attitude of Travis Touchdown and take out bosses, and it is a really fun time. And I am kind of shocked that they're bringing back the odd jobs, because in No More Heroes 2, that is something that they kind of took out and replaced with these like 8-bit, 16-bit fun mini games that I felt kind of sped up the process. And so that also makes you wonder if they might bring back the open world of 1, because 1 had like the small open world city of Stand and Destroy, which I kind of hope they don't, because that wasn't a great thing.
There really wasn't a lot to do.
There wasn't a lot to do, and getting around it sucked. Like you drove the his motorcycle, which is called like, actually I'm not even gonna guess what it's called. It has like a fun name to it.
It does. I can't remember it.
I can't remember it either.
It's like a German like Schweizensteiger kind of name.
Spell Tiger.
Yeah, Spell Tiger. Yes,
Nice.
exactly.
Okay, nice.
You drive that around, and it was not. It controlled like, but it was not good.
Yep.
But the idea of it was cool. And so if they're bringing that back for No More Heroes 3, I hope they find ways to make that fun, especially the odd jobs, because the odd jobs in No More Heroes 1, there's like there are ones where you'll go around and pick up coconuts to deliver it to the guy, and there's like another one where you're just mowing the lawn, and it's like I recently picked up No More Heroes 1 again when they released the remasters, and playing it again, I was like, wow, they really they captured the work part of work really well.
They did.
In this game, and who knows if they're gonna do that again in No More Heroes 3. I hope they find ways to make it fun. That said, I really do like the idea of every boss fight being like this different take on a different game genre, and that being cool. And I'm really excited to see them really shake it up, because No More Heroes 1 and 2 both are about working your way up this ladder of ranked assassins. And I really like that premise for No More Heroes. I think that is the thing that makes No More Heroes, is that you take that one premise and just go crazy with it. This seems like it's going to be fairly different in terms of this is very much like the Earth is being invaded by aliens, which at its core changes up what No More Heroes is. But if they can keep that soul of, it is still boss fights, it is still every villain has their own personality, and you're working your way up through some ranking, or you're working your way through some kind of list, then I think that'll do it, and I'm very excited for it.
Well, you are working your way through a ranking. You're working your way. I think it's the Galactic Superhero ranking this time.
Oh,
I remember hearing about that.
Yeah,
Oh
so
my
you got to work
God.
your way up to the top of the superhero rankings. And I know Bad Girl comes back, but if you've
Yeah,
played
she
No More
does.
Heroes 1 and 2, that relationship gets real complicated. So
I need to play these other two. I need to play Travis Strikes Again and No More Heroes 2, just so I can be
I need
caught
to
up.
as well. Because like I played, like in theory, I'm really excited for this game. It ticks all the boxes for me. I love how just wacky it is. I love Travis's whole aura. Like I really love how over the top this thing is, and I really want to look forward to it. But I've only played half of the first game, which I enjoyed. I just never really got around to it. So I do need to play the rest of this series. As Classy Mudkip says, the FF7 UI homage looked cool in the No More Heroes.
Looked
3
really
trailer.
awesome.
I love that. So this
No More Heroes
seems on its
2?
face. Yeah.
No More Heroes 2, the gameplay is way better, is what
Yeah.
I'll say.
Okay,
Because
that's
playing,
good.
replaying No
That's
More
what I
Heroes
always
1, replaying No More Heroes 1, I was surprised by how kind of rough it was. And then I like booted up 2 again, and I was like, okay, no, this is the No More Heroes I know and love. Like the gameplay of 2 is really good, even though I still think the story in 1 is still really fun.
yeah, I would. The one
Right.
thing I would say is, I would love to see No More Heroes as an anime, because it's basically an
Oh my
anime.
God.
That you're in
Yeah.
video game
That would be
form.
I mean, they had that whole anime story trailer for the #1 ranked superhero, like that weird alien thing that
Oh, yeah,
when they
yeah.
first revealed the game. Which I'm kind of curious how they'll tie that whole thing in, because it's so different and weird. It's like there's a lot of possibilities in this, and it feels like, and I've seen this comparison a few times online, where Suda51 is kind of the one true punk artist of gaming. Like his games are not the most polished or anything like that, but there's so much like chaotic energy to them that if they click for you, they really click for you, and you're just down for it. And I think No More Heroes kind of captures that the most. I've not played Killer 7. I think I rented it and I just bounced off it pretty quick because the gameplay was so different to me. But I did really enjoy his Lollipop Chainsaw, which I believe was written, but the story was written by James Gunn. So there's that. It's just, he captures something, and I think that's why I want to get to 2 and see what else is there, because it's fun.
Oh, yeah.
It's weird, grungy, fun.
Yeah, it really is one of those, like Blessing said, a game that really leans hard into the fact that it's a video game. Like it is very self-referential, fourth wall breaking. It's, it doesn't try to pretend to be anything more than just a wild ass game.
Right.
And I love it for that, because the characters are really wouldn't fit anywhere outside of a video game or a really truly weird anime. So I think that I'm excited to see where they go with this alien galactic superhero stuff, because it's just taking an already crazy ass series and further upping the ante for it. Kind of like the way Saints Row gradually shifted from a Grand Theft Auto clone to you're a superhero, which seems really weird. So I like that Suda's taking what he already established and making it even wilder. This for me was my #1 announcement of the Direct, because unlike the others, even though there were other games that theoretically excited me more, like Splatoon 3 definitely, just surprised me, shocked, awed me more. I know when this game's coming. I know when I'm going to be playing this. And I know I'm going to like it. There's certain games that unless this thing comes out and it is an awful mess from a technical perspective, I'm going to have a good ass time with this. So, man, bring on August. I'm ready for this. I'm ready to play this now.
Before we move on, I just want to jump back in the chat a little bit to something that Brian Calabro said about Smash, saying, so Pyra and Mythra are numbered separately, but why? If they are changeable in between them in match, and they aren't separately selected, why count them as 2 characters? So I thought this was strange at first until I just remembered that Pokemon Trainer, Charizard, Squirtle, and Ivysaur are all counted separately in the roster as well. So I would say maybe don't overthink it. Just think of it as the Pokemon Trainer style character as DLC, where you have 2 characters you can switch between, but they are counted as separate fighters with their own movesets. So that's what I think is going on here. I don't think it's anything more than that. Moving on to something that, Derek, you mentioned a really interesting angle on something that I want to have you repeat for our post-show or our TNT here. Miitopia is coming to the Switch, which is really cool, and Miitopia itself is really charming, and I'm looking forward to actually properly playing it this time, because I didn't back on 3DS. But you mentioned a really interesting angle that I hadn't thought about in terms of why Miitopia coming to the Switch is very exciting related to Zelda.
Well, that's because this thing looks upgraded like crazy. Because it has better visuals, it has more options. It just seems like it's really going for it this time, and it's not just a simple up-res port of Miitopia. Which, if they're doing that for Miitopia, which I don't know how well Miitopia sold, but that makes me really excited for the possibility of Ocarina and Majora's Mask HD. As far as ports of those games, like, yes, please, in that style. Right. Up-res them like this. Do it. Because
I thought you were going to say Tomodachi Life. Honestly,
I was
like, stay with me. Tomodachi Life. And then you said Ocarina. I was like, oh, that makes more sense. That's more exciting.
Right.
I mean, Tomodachi Life is its own thing. It'd be a fun little thing to port over as well. But I think that's fun. I mean, Adam Davis points out that Switch quality Mii models already exist. But work with me here. There's still other assets that have been upgraded as well. Beyond those things, and they have added other hairstyles and stuff, and granted they keep it simple, but this does bode well for potential, and other people are saying Samus Returns, Kid Icarus. This kind of blows open the door for those 3DS to Switch ports,
which is that's what's most exciting about. I think it's a great angle, and that's what's most exciting about this for me is just all the potential 3DS to Switch ports this could potentially herald. It doesn't necessarily for sure, but I think it definitely could be read as that. And Blessing, I'm right there with you, and so is our patron in the chat, Tyler Olgus, who says, "I wish it was Tomodachi Life though." Me too, Blessing. My wife and I had a hell of a time playing Tomodachi Life together, and I think a Switch version would be so cool to have happen. So another 3DS to Switch port, this could maybe open the door for. I gotta say it. I'm sorry. I'm gonna Rhythm Heaven Megamix. Please port this. Please. But I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. One thing that came as a really cool surprise to me personally is Legend of Mana being ported, being remastered and ported to the Switch, coming out in May, I believe it was. June 24th.
June 24th.
And it's coming with an arranged soundtrack, and the soundtrack that was in the original PS1 version was already one of Yoko Shimomura's best. So I can't wait to hear her revisit her own work in this game, especially because we saw how the Kingdom Hearts 1.5 and 2.5 soundtracks turned out. They did a great job, and she did a great job. So I'm really happy to see this game return. Do any of you have any particular thoughts on Legend of Mana?
I haven't played
picked up the game on PS1 at a trade, like a gaming show not too long ago. A while ago now that I think about it, just saw it there. I was like, you know what? Hey, I've got a collection of Mana. I'm interested in this. Let's just get this as well so I can play this afterwards, and have not had a chance to play it yet. But it always looked visually interesting.
Yeah, it really has. It has a very unique art style, kind of a unique approach to the usual Mana combat systems. So it's definitely something I think if you're a Mana fan, and clearly there are a lot of you out there because Trials of Mana just hit 1 million sales. We reported on that last week. And we got Collection of Mana. Clearly, this series is in the midst of something of a resurgence and renaissance, which I love to see. So, I'm looking forward to checking this out.
Are you much of a JRPG person, Blessing?
It depends. I wouldn't say I'm anywhere near a hardcore JRPG fan, but I do like a lot of the popular ones. And so like Persona 5 Royal, I absolutely love. Persona 4 Golden is like one of my favorite games ever. And then I've dipped my toe into games like what's it called? Trails of Cold Steel. Dipped my toe into that a little bit and enjoyed it. And then again, like games here and there. But yeah, Legend of Mana is like a step hardcore for me where I watched the trailer and I was like, good for somebody. Somebody's gonna be very happy about that, and I'm glad that you're here.
Yeah, I'm assuming it was the same reaction when you saw like Saga, more from Saga Frontier remastered and that sort of thing.
I was like, good for somebody. Somebody's happy right now.
Hold up though, right? Because Blessing and I are friends, and I know a little bit about his taste in games. I have to ask him, Blessing, what do you think about Apex Legends coming to the Switch?
It's funny because when that game came up during the Nintendo Direct, I turned to my coworker Andy and I was like, Andy, could you imagine playing Apex Legends on the Switch? And he was like, dude, I played Overwatch on the Switch, and yeah, no, it's a little bit rough. That said, I watching the trailer, it looked better than I thought, being a game that is being ported onto Switch, because a game like Apex Legends, I think, for what the style of the game is, right? Like, that is a game that is going for a bit of a realistic style in terms of the world and characters, and it is definitely a bit of a graphically intense game, you know, and it is a first-person Twitch shooter. But watching the Switch trailer, I could see that game possibly running well on Switch, because you kind of got the feel of, yeah, the textures are kind of scaled back a tad bit, and you know, they're doing things to kind of account for the Switch's power. Even with that, looking at the trailer, I was like, this looks very playable, at least like for what they're showing here. And I'm down to try it out, because Apex Legends is legitimately like my favorite battle royale. And when Fortnite got ported, or when Fortnite came to the Switch back in, I guess, 2018 at this point, I fell in love with it. I got super into it. It was the perfect game for me to kind of sit in my bed and play in that way. And I thought that game was a super fun game. And I'm totally down for battle royales making their way to Switch, because I think that is a fun way to play them, right? Not having to, like, you know, party up and boot up my PC and do all this different stuff. Being able to just bust out my Switch and jump into Apex Legends sounds very appealing, and so I'm definitely down to try it, and I'm excited to see what they're able to do for the platform.
Nice. Yeah, I'm really interested. I've never played Apex Legends, but
It's really good.
I feel like the barrier of entry is way lower with the Switch. It becomes less daunting. Just, hey, I'm going to try this game out, see if I like it, and maybe if I do get into it, I'll get more hardcore about it and boot up my PC and do all that other stuff, which is precisely how I ended up getting into Fortnite. I had Fortnite on PS4 when it was in early access, and I liked it so much that I ended up putting it on my PC so I could get a higher frame rate and enjoy the game in a different way, and it became kind of a go-to for me. But I'll be curious, because they heavily implied that crossplay is a thing for the Switch version of Apex Legends, because they were saying, oh, if you play on Switch, you'll get double experience for the first 2 weeks or something, which would imply that you're going to be playing against...
the new season just started, and they want people to kind of get caught up on Switch, because the game is coming out a bit later after the season, which Season 8,
right.
very fun in Apex. But yeah, I'm right there with you that I think it coming to a new platform, specifically the Switch, especially the Switch, like that opens the game up to a new audience that is going to be playing that game for the first time. Meaning that if you're coming into Apex new and it is very intimidating jumping in on PC or other platforms, jumping in on Switch at launch means that you're probably playing with a lot of players that are playing for the first time, and that is a nice way to kind of get adjusted, because that's what happened with me in Fortnite, where I was not getting toasted because I was playing with a lot of players that were playing for the first time. And so eventually I then transitioned on to playing Fortnite on other platforms, but it felt natural, and I felt like I was included, because the Switch kind of allowed me to get my feet wet without it being too much of an intimidating thing.
Nice. Yeah, I'll check it out when it drops, just because I remember you at OK Beast had started up a Apex Legends, what was it called, Jump Master?
Jump Master, yeah, that was the name of the podcast.
Yeah, and I remember thinking, like, man, I might have missed the boat on this. This might be a big game that I'm just letting pass me by. And I did. I let it pass me by completely, unfortunately. But now that it's on Switch, it'll at least give me a more casual way. Because you're right. Once a game passes a certain age, people get too good. And then it just becomes intimidating to jump in to a community of people that you know are just going to smoke you the minute you start.
Apex is definitely one of those games, too. Whenever I jump back in to Apex, even on PS5... or PS4, I'm like, wow, people are really good at this game now. I'm getting toasted. And Apex does not play.
My Splatoon experience.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, people do not play around in Apex.
No.
Yeah.
Sorry. I was going to change it up to a different one, because I'm curious, because I know during the reaction stream, we all bounced pretty hard off Knockout City. I'm curious if Blessing felt the same way, since
Was that the dodgeball game? What was dodgeball?
Yeah, the dodgeball in a city game, which had all the different like styles. I was so curious, like, what are they going to do to combine all these apparent genres together? And it's like, it's dodgeball in a city. Okay,
it's such a weird trailer. It very much felt like, hey, let's market the heck out of this one by they did the, I don't know what commercial I'm thinking of that had like a World of Warcraft character, like the it was like the Night Elf Wonderhawk thing. Maybe it was a GameStop commercial. I don't know. But basically, it felt like that. It felt like hey, what do gamers like? All right, they like Fortnite, World of Warcraft, pixelated JRPGs with waifus. How do we incorporate all this stuff to like get them interested in our dodgeball game? And yeah, it didn't work for me. I watched that trailer and I was like, this doesn't look that great, but who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be fun when I get my hands on it.
Maybe.
Yeah,
it didn't really do a whole lot for me.
The funny thing is, initially, when I was watching the little interview segments of the trailer, I was like, oh, are they hyping up a game where, a bunch of different gaming tropes, end up in a multiplayer together? Like, oh, well, you'll be able to choose people from different genres of games with different skills. I was like, that could be cool. And then it's just a dodgeball game that looks a lot like Destruction All-Stars.
Yeah. So that's what I got immediately was Destruction All-Stars. I was like, oh, that's what this looks like.
You know what? I just remembered the commercial I'm thinking of. It was a Mr. T commercial from back in the day for World of Warcraft, where his character was named Night Elf Mohawk.
That's right.
That's what I was
right.
Yeah.
Oh,
I felt like this kind of invoked that a bit.
Man, that takes me back.
Yeah.
Right after Knockout City, there was a game announced that I initially bounced off of, but then the more I saw, the more I was kind of into it, and that was World's End Club from NIS America. It turns out it's a side-scroller. It almost seems like it's a combination side-scroller visual novel-ish.
I mean, it is from the
thing.
team behind Danganronpa.
Danganronpa, yeah. So visual novel element makes sense, but it also seems side-scrolling, and I'm kind of interested to see how that game turns out.
It's a very interesting visual style. And after playing the first Danganronpa, I'm certainly more intrigued than I think I would have been otherwise, just because I know the quality these guys can put out there, with their like covering all aspects of questions and crafting pretty good mysteries. I think it has a lot of potential. But yeah, it's hard to say just off this one trailer, but it has me intrigued.
Same.
Yeah.
It looks fun.
Yeah.
Like, it looks cool. The side-scrolling thing got me, too, where I was like, okay, let's see what this visual novel is. And the way when they showed the gameplay, that immediately had me like, oh, okay, this seems like it could be pretty fun to get into. And the style is cool. The story looks like it's going to be fun. This was like a nice, neat little surprise for me.
The one fear I have is... I know the Danganronpa developers did a spin-off that's still tied in with the lore called Ultra Despair Girls, which I believe was a first-person shooter. And I've not heard anything good about the gameplay. People say the story's great, gameplay not so much, and that might be the problem with this one, where the story is really interesting and really fun, but the actual gameplay is like, eh. I don't know if that'll be the case, but I think that is the fear.
Well, the interesting thing is that you can play this game right now. It's on Apple Arcade.
Oh. What were the reviews like?
I don't know. I was researching it, and I saw somebody mention that it's already available. It came out last September on Apple Arcade.
Huh.
Oh, all right.
So,
see, that's how little I pay attention to Apple Arcade.
yeah, I got to say, Apple Arcade's not really a thing that I care much for.
Same.
But at the same time, I mean, it kind of makes me think a little bit less of this game. I know that's a bad thing to say, but I don't really love a ton of mobile games, like iOS games, Android games.
Right.
Apple Arcade is more less like is more traditional type games on the phone though.
I mean, you can say that, but I had it for a year, and I legit found maybe one game to play on it. So a long time ago, I was invited all the way out to Denmark to play Lego's latest Apple Arcade games. They flew me across the planet to play them, and I left with an Apple Arcade subscription and a year to just get whatever I wanted off of it and mess with it. And I don't think I really found anything that I was really deeply into. And that might just be the stigma of being on a phone. I'm an old guy. I like playing on my consoles. I don't really... I use my phone for just shit posting. that's what I have this thing for. And I can't think of any other... I have like 2 or 3 mobile games that I really enjoy, and that's about it. It could be good on the Switch. I don't know, but I was more hyped about it before I heard it had been on Apple Arcade for a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
Squinty Eyed in the chat saying, according to the writer of Zero Escape, because this is a collaboration between the Danganronpa and Zero Escape teams, the Switch version will be the complete version and will have an ending. Which, looking at the reviews, just real quick, it was like unfinished, and it was getting like 7 out of 10s for the most part. So seems fine, and it kind of reminds me of a Shantae in the Seven Sirens situation. So
right, yeah, I can see that.
We'll see.
Adam Davis with a cool aside in the chat here a little ways back. They say their friend just noticed that Splatoon 3's branding has a similar color palette to the non-binary flag, and I actually looked into this while you guys were chatting, and that's completely true. And I'm not so naive as to think that it was intentional, but I love the idea that the two could be, mentioned in the same breath. So I think that's really cool, even if it isn't intentional on Nintendo's part.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's very cool.
That's really neat. So we haven't talked a whole lot about Project Triangle Strategy yet, and that was the other big announcement. I would say that we haven't really mentioned too much of yet, and TRPGs are kind of a hit or miss thing for me. I'm not a huge tactics guy, but there are very specific tactics games that I really enjoy, such as Final Fantasy Tactics, which this game seems to heavily draw at least visual inspiration from, and I'm not feeling that name though, man. That name's got to go. It's not, as we mentioned earlier, charming in the same way that Octopath Traveler was. But how are you guys feeling about this? We have a demo today in the eShop that I might stream after this if I can. I gotta see if I can use the living room right now. My wife's working, but on its face, this is pretty exciting. Having a PS1 era style strategy RPG coming out.
I'm hopeful that this will grab me in a way Octopath did not. I own Octopath. I tried to get into it multiple times. I never made it past the intro. I don't know what it was. It didn't work for me. Visually, definitely. But I feel like that weird kind of diorama pixel art style definitely works better with the top-down perspective you get in a tactical RPG. So I'm actually really excited to try this demo out. I also, like you, Ash, I love Final Fantasy Tactics. That was one of my jams on the PS1, so I'll be downloading it tonight and giving it a shot for sure. But I'm going in intentionally not expecting much so that I'm not let down. But I know there are tons of people out there that really love Octopath, so we'll see. I'm giving it a 50-50 shot as to whether or not I vibe with it.
Nice. All right.
I'm definitely intrigued. I love myself a good strategy RPG. I love the visual style. I like the idea that they're really going all in on your choices matter in this game. And who knows, they might not matter, but considering Octopath Traveler and all the different things, I feel like this could be a game where it really does branch a lot. You can end up with some very different endings depending on your choices. I hope that's the case anyway. I think that's where you sort of get your divergence from, like we got with Octopath. I think there's some very interesting things being done with the strategy elements there. I just kind of hit me in the right way. Name obviously has to go, like everybody agrees, but I think the elements that are there have a lot of potential, and this is one I'm going to keep my eyes on in the same way that I did for Octopath Traveler, which I did end up loving, though hopefully they don't have a super final boss that sucks and is awful to get through.
I hope that there will be more of a focus on organic character interactions. I hope this is you build a party with characters you care about and that seem to care about each other outside of canned interaction scenes like we got in Octopath Traveler. Like, I enjoyed Octopath. I do think it was too grind heavy, and I thought the character banter was way too forced, and I'd like to see a party that grows together as a group instead of just individual stories. So we'll see how that goes. I will say, you guys are going to roll your eyes. The low point of the Direct for me was Star Wars Hunters, because of the way it was introduced. Do you want to join the Hunters? Or something, he said. And I was thinking Maverick Hunters. It wasn't Maverick Hunters.
Oh, come on.
Oh, my God.
I was thinking Star Wars Bounty Hunter. And
I thought so, too.
When they just said Star Wars Hunters, I was like, oh, okay. And then they showed Hasbro, and I was like, oh, okay.
Like, they said it was free to play, apparently. So it's like, I guess it's taking advantage of the whole Mandalorian thing, since it's taking place between 6 and 7, I think they said. So it's weird because we got that leak for Republic Commando, and I thought that's what it was going to be. And it was like, nope, it's this, which we don't really know what that is. It's just like, well, choose a bounty hunter and I guess fight. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, with all that said, I think we've covered all the big stuff and a lot of the small stuff from today's Nintendo Direct. Is there anything else any of you want to touch on?
Hurt, Ash. There's a few things in here I think we could talk a little bit more about. Namely, Famicom Detective Club. I don't think it's going to get a lot of interest, honestly. But I did not expect these games to ever get translated and come to the States, and they look good. I think they have a lot of potential, like that sort of Phoenix Wright fans might click onto it just because it's a mystery game and going through there. I don't know. It really clicked with me in a way that I did not expect. And the fact that they're coming May 14th, you know what? I want to check them out. I am legit interested and want to see what it has to offer. I don't know what it's going to be, but it's definitely something I want to look into.
I do too. I actually, my bad. I thought we had already covered Famicom Detective Club. I could have sworn we did. So yeah, my bad. Nope. If we haven't, then yes, I am quite interested in these as well. My wife and I do enjoy playing visual novel type games together, and the fact that this is the Famicom Detective Club series is first time coming to North America, it's really cool. What a neat surprise that we're even getting these games at all.
I think it's cool for visual novel fans. I'm not one of those. So I'm happy for folks that want to see these localized, but for me, this is just not something that is piquing my interest. It looks good from an animation perspective, and I can appreciate that, but I know without so much as playing it that this is not a game that I would
not your thing.
That I just wouldn't have a good time with. Yeah, definitely not my thing.
It's a good time for it though, because visual novels have really grown in popularity lately.
Yeah,
it's a great opportunity. And for people wondering, the original, I just went to How Long to Beat to see if there's anything that was popped up there. But Famicom Detective Club Part 2, The Girl Who Stands Behind on, I guess it's NES, has to be Famicom, was apparently 7 hours long. So don't know how much that's been expanded, because people have mentioned that they are $35 a piece. I'm not sure how long they'll be, but still pretty cool.
Yeah.
I definitely see now.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No,
I was going to say, I want to point out my low point in the Direct, and it was the thing that wasn't in it. That is Sonic Mania 2.
Oh my God! Preach!
I wish.
I wish. I had the GVG gang set up summoning circles for Sonic Mania 2, and it didn't work, and I am depressed. Where the hell is Sonic Mania 2?
Where is
God
Sonic
damn
period?
it.
I'll take period. Yeah.
Listen, I'll take, and this is going to sound ridiculous, but stick with me. I'll take another 3D Sonic. Just give me a Sonic game. It is time.
Yeah.
It is time.
Same.
Sonic Forces was what, like 2017? 2018, 2016? It's been forever.
It's been a while.
17.
Last year, like towards the beginning of last year, there was some press release or something that was like, hey, we're going to bust out Sonic announcements every month. And that did not happen at all.
Yeah.
And like I felt like last year was kind of supposed to be the year for Sonic. I think that probably got delayed because of COVID and everything. It is time. Where is Sonic? Whether it's Sonic Mania or 3D Sonic.
What are they waiting on? That's what I'm...
Give me Sonic Adventure 3. They announced the new voice, or they didn't announce the new voice actor, but we know that, I forget his name, but the current voice actor for Sonic isn't reprising his role, which means that they're working on something. Like, what is it?
Something has to be coming. I don't know.
But no, you are in good company here, Blessing, because I think all of us would happily take another 3D Sonic game as well, because it is a myth. It is an absolute myth that they're all bad. There are some good 3D Sonic games out there. There's
only every other of them are bad.
Yes,
half of them are good. I promise.
But Sonic Mania 2. There's just about nothing I want more than Sonic Mania 2 or whatever the 2D follow-up to Mania will be. So hopefully we'll hear something on that front soon. But now that I'm looking at the list, I do see the big thing, the other big thing that I missed, Derek, and that is actually a prediction that we got right, and that is the expansion pass for Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity was announced. And it's going to be coming in 2 waves throughout the year, actually. So June 2021 is the first wave, and then November is when the second wave drops. And they both bring with them various things like new character vignettes, new characters to play as, new moves and costumes. So yeah, for Age of Calamity fans, and I count myself among that group, we've got a whole year of content basically coming for this game. So it's going to be alive for a while yet.
Man, I just have to be a little spicy on this one. One, Pyra and Robbie. I mean, I can't think of
it
any
could be
characters
fun,
in Zelda that I want to play as less. The other thing, like, they could have just put expansion pass 1999 includes 11 more frames per second, and I'd be like, all right, take my $20.
Yeah,
please.
Yeah,
that'll make it run
Fair.
at least a steady 17. So
fair point.
I need that game to perform a little better. I will buy a new Switch if it makes it run better. It's a great game underneath all the technical shortcomings, but I also I did not get a strong vibe off of this DLC announcement because what's a character, like, why do I want character vignettes? Why do I want to buy some character vignettes? It doesn't do much.
Well, it's coming
to
as
sell
part
me.
of your overall purchase, right? I mean, it's better to have them than not.
I get it's better to have them than not, but it was like the first bullet point on the November delivery for the DLC. I'm like, whoa, character vignette. I don't know why I want those. They didn't do a good job of informing me why I should want them. Who's in them? I would much prefer just new stages, new playable characters. Go crazy with it like they did with the last Hyrule Warriors if you want to. Like, sell me the season pass and give me Linkle and whatever other weird characters you come up with. I'd be fine with that, but...
if I had to guess, Pyra and Robbie are going to be in the first set of DLC, and then the villains that's been data mined will be in the second pack.
Who
and
are
I think those vignettes will probably be something similar to the original Hyrule Warriors, where here's some things from the perspective of these villains.
I guess that would be okay, but I don't like Aster at all.
Astor is so boring, and you got a good point, Steve, for sure.
I think that's the weakest part, because the original Hyrule Warriors DLC was frigging amazing. There was so much content and cool stuff added and characters, but
the other thing
when
is,
you're limiting yourself to just Breath of the Wild, it makes it a lot harder.
If you're gonna have me pre-order and get a new outfit or something, at least show me what that outfit is. If that's the pre-order incentive, I want to at least know what it looks like before.
It's not until May, so I'm guessing there has to be some other. With us not getting a ton of information on some of this stuff, I feel like there has to be a Zelda focused direct by May sometime.
I think we're going to get a Zelda 35th Anniversary Direct. We did get a Mario Anniversary Direct, and I know that Nintendo isn't typically great about recognizing all their franchises' various anniversaries, but I do think, for better and worse, that Mario and Zelda are set apart from that. I think that Mario and Zelda will get that treatment. And that's not to say that it doesn't bother me that Metroid and Star Fox and Mother and all of them don't get that treatment. They should. But I do think Nintendo, I don't see them letting Zelda's 35th anniversary come and go without making it a celebration, without making it a thing, personally.
See, I'm shocked that we got Skyward Sword and we got this DLC and that wasn't looped into that. Like, that kind of, for me, that kind of bodes badly for what Zelda's 35th anniversary might be, because, like, if that's the case, then what is that going to end up as? For me, this feels like Nintendo kind of looking around, reading the room, and being like, all right, do we have enough to really call this a Zelda anniversary, or should we just package these things up individually and put them out? I hope we get one, though. I think that'd be awesome. Like, I think I would really like, in the best case scenario, me living in my dream world, it'd be awesome to get Majora's Mask and Ocarina. It'd be awesome to get Wind Waker and Twilight Princess all ported to the Switch in 2021.
Yes.
And, like, I don't know, give me Zelda 35, like Mario 35, but dungeons. Like,
oh man,
that
sounds
would be
awesome.
Sick.
Right?
I would love that.
That'd be cool. I've mentioned to these guys before, Blessing, that port Four Swords Adventures.
Yes,
make it online.
That too.
Yeah. Like, there's a lot of stuff they could do, but it's like,
will they do it?
With Nintendo, it's like, will they do it? Do you guys have the stuff?
Right. And I guess maybe they were in a tough position because, on one hand, maybe they didn't want to lead with Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD because those are more Wii U ports. Maybe they wanted to lead with something new.
It is exciting to have a brand new port rather than...
Yeah.
That's true.
So, but it just may be that they're also not ready to kick off the 35th anniversary branded celebrations yet. So maybe maybe it's all going to be roped in together. Like, hey, later on this year we get a direct. Hey, we already announced Skyward Sword. Here's what else is coming: Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, Ocarina and Majora 3DS. Hopefully,
See,
yeah.
I want that to be true. I'm going to choose at this point not to believe it, just because I could see my hype getting way too high and then just being salty for the rest of the year about Nintendo not giving me stuff that they never they never announced.
They never promised.
They never announced.
Right.
Sure.
I absolutely want my Switch to be the home for as many Zelda games as I can get on it. I would love to be able to play Ocarina, Majora's Mask, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword. Give me all
You're
the
doing
3D
3DS ports.
Zeldas
Give me
in
Link
one
Between
place.
Worlds.
Yeah.
Link Between
man.
Worlds. Hell yeah. Yeah.
I would love that, but at this point, I do wonder because this was essentially, a direct where they were just putting out everything they could, and a lot of stuff for existing games. So it feels like maybe Nintendo's output has been impacted just heavily enough to where a 35th Zelda anniversary celebration isn't in the cards for them. They just don't have the bandwidth to do it.
Right.
So I don't know. I'm hopeful, but I'm gonna choose to be pessimistic about it, so that if it does happen, I'm just over the moon excited.
Heart in
and
your
if it
heart,
doesn't happen, I'm
Steve.
like, oh, whatever.
No, I understand. It's very much up in the air. Although, as we have mentioned a few times throughout this, keep in mind that this is really the first-party output only for the first half of the year. So the second half of the year, other than Skyward Sword HD, of course, the second half of the year, though, is still completely open. So
True.
Who knows what that might bring? I guess one other minor thing we haven't mentioned is Ninja Gaiden Master Collection coming on June 10th, and I think this was something that we all kind of
It was
expected
rumored
would happen
earlier.
sooner or later. Yeah, and it's a good fit. It makes sense to have the Ninja Gaiden 3D trilogy on Switch. I still love the 8-bit trilogy myself. I'd still love to see 8-bit Hayabusa and Smash, but this is cool, and this will give me a chance to check out these games because I never really did, other than a bit of the first one. Yeah.
I remember thinking
I'm in the same
these
boat,
were
so it'd be fun.
nasty hard when I was playing them on the Xbox. So I wonder if I even have it in me to play these. I never beat any of those Ninja Gaiden games, and I kind of just heard through their reputation that they were unbearably difficult. So I played a bit of.
But people have
one.
hardened themselves off of Dark Souls now. Surely this can't be much of a challenge now. All those Dark Souls players.
Right.
Yeah, I ain't one of those though. I mean, not yet.
Before we move on, I do want to extend a warm welcome in the chat to the Playa 1994, whose name I don't recognize. So thank you for joining our live audience tier, and we're happy to have you here.
Nice.
And we hope to see you here for many more TNTs.
Absolutely.
From now. Yeah. Really the other stuff, unless there's something I'm missing, Derek, we got Plants vs. Zombies, Battle for Neighborville, the true Megaton announcement here, Stubbs the Zombie.
Yeah, Stubbs the Zombie out of nowhere.
March 16th.
Okay.
Yeah. Capcom Arcade Stadium is available today, which is something I do want to check out. I'll have to reach out to Capcom.
That's like the worst shadow drop of all time.
I
I don't
know.
know that we need to reach out to Capcom for that. It's like a free-to-play game.
It's free to play, so you don't have
and
to
then it's
actually
just-
reach
well,
It
it
out.
is.
but if you
purchases.
want everything, it's $40.
Well,
If you
yeah,
want,
I get
everything
that.
it has
but
to offer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will tell
But
you
that's
from
true.
years of making deals in this industry for review code and all that other stuff, they never hook you up with the in-app purchases. They'll
Good
just be
point.
like,
You're right, they
yeah,
don't. That's
here's your code for the base game with nothing attached. I mean,
Yeah, that's
unless
true.
it's a season pass or they have the ultimate edition, most publishers aren't going to go out of their way to get you
Right.
DLC codes.
Hey, you know what though? I'll say this, Steve. Capcom did hook me up with the Mega Man 11 arranged soundtrack back when they gave me the review code for that. So I got to hand them credit for that.
I don't know, man. That sounds like a bribe. What are you
doing?
doing over here?
Right. But yeah, Tales from the Borderlands is coming. We're getting the Monster Hunter Rise Edition Switch Pro controller. That's a cool surprise for Monster Hunter fans.
Yeah.
Samurai
there's-
Warriors 5.
Cool things coming, but nothing hard. Not a lot of megatons, I guess, is the big thing.
Excuse you, DC superhero girls.
Oh yes,
That is
Power.
true.
Oh,
right?
man.
That
Which
is true.
actually the art style looked pretty cool. It seemed like it was quite faithful to
The
the
longer
cartoon.
that thing went, the more I was like, I might try this out.
right?
It
Same.
could be fun.
Yeah.
It actually
yeah.
doesn't look bad.
You know what? For ostensibly a girl game, which screw that whole idea. But you know what? For fans of the show, that kind of seems like it really grabs what that show's about, and you don't see that too often.
I actually
with
legit
those type
want
of
to play
games.
that because my daughter loves that show. So I've seen many episodes of that show, which it's unbearably bad. But the game at least looks like one of the very few games that I could probably play with my kid and not feel like I'm just wasting my life away playing a video game I hate. So I could probably get through it at least. And that alone would be worth it. I'd like to see her, I mean, I bought this kid. So I don't know. None of y'all have daughters, right? Or Derek, you have daughters, right? Or a daughter?
Amy does.
Yeah.
Amy has a.
She's what age? Does she, you know what? I don't even
7.
need to ask that. Does she collect LOL or OMG dolls?
Yes.
I can't believe we're talking about this. I bought my kid the official OMG video game for the Switch for Christmas. That is the biggest, flamingest pile of shit I've ever seen.
That
I don't know.
sounds like a
I thought
terrible
Nintendo
idea.
certified games. This thing is like an N64 game. Like a bad one. It is so ugly and so terrible. Like I need to capture some footage just to share with you, just so you can see what I'm talking about, because I didn't think there was such a thing as a game that wasn't worth $5. But this thing is like, I way overpaid for this. It is one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life.
I mean, that seems fair, only because we recently just way overpaid for Fight Crab. So,
Yeah.
Dude, Fight Crab is
so that
straight up
seems fair.
AAA compared to this.
Fair enough.
Don't
Fair
you
enough.
dare talk down about Fight Crab.
Thank
Right?
you.
Yeah, my
Somebody
bad, my
understands
bad.
the energy that Fight Crab brings.
I played that game
God.
once and I was like, that's enough. I don't even play it anymore. But it was a fun
Yeah.
one time of playing it.
Yeah,
One
that's
time,
that's
yeah.
pretty much how it is.
My wife and I tried 2-player. It's split screen 2-player, and when I was like, well, I just dropped $20 on this game for
That's
our
$20?
stream. So
It's
Yeah.
20
Oh my
bucks.
God.
That's the part that hurt. If it was like $5, no, but even
10 bucks.
Yeah.
fine. $20 for that nonsense though hurt a little bit. So I'm like,
Okay,
damn
that's
it, I'm
fair.
getting extra value out of this. So babes, you're playing this with me, and we played it, and she was like, what the fuck is this nonsense? I hate this.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Damn
Yeah.
good game. I don't know what y'all are talking about. I'm still gonna play that Tanuki skateboarding game one of these days. The Vaporwave.
Oh,
You
yeah.
you try it
The
first and
Vaporwave
let us
one.
know.
Yeah, the Vaporwave one.
Vaporwave.
Rob
Tanuki
Arman
racing.
X with some bad Zelda vibes here in the chat. Imagine Skyward Sword HD is the only Zelda thing released this year, and Breath of the Wild 2 is the 2023 holiday title.
Oh my
That's
God.
a timeline I want nothing to do with, man. That is.
I don't think it's only going to be Skyward Sword HD. I think they're going to.
No.
I
There's
think
going to be
they
more.
know.
I do think so. I really do think so. And
I don't know if we're going to
don't-
get Breath of the Wild 2 this year. I'll say that right now.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's looking more like spring next year right now ish.
agree.
We'll see. Yeah. But all right, well, to wrap up then, I'd like to get all of your, now that we've talked about it, we've had some chance to dissect it, think about it. Out of 10, what would you give today's full-length, general-purpose Nintendo Direct, the first one in a year and a half? Blessing, let's start with you since you are our very special guest.
Yeah, I think I'm going to come off harsh, but that is because I love Nintendo and I want to see Nintendo thrive. And so with that, I'd probably give it, are we good with 0.5s? Can we give half scores here?
Yeah.
Sure.
Cool. I'll give it a 6.5 out of 10. I think for where Nintendo's at right now, I just want a lot more. I want to be thriving the way that we were thriving in earlier years of the Switch, and I feel like we're not there yet. But there's still some cool stuff here that I know people are going to enjoy and love. And shout out to games like No More Heroes 3 and Splatoon and Mario Golf. And so with that, 6.5.
Gotcha. Okay. Steve, what about you?
Man, I was actually going to rate it a 6 or a 7, so I guess I'm right around where Blessing is. I'll go ahead and be a little more optimistic because Splatoon 3 really did get me. I'll give it a 7 because, like I said, Splatoon 3 for me is a real big deal, but it's also 2022, so it's a long wait until we get to, and we don't know when in 2022. It could be November 2022, so
Right.
I'm definitely super hyped for that. No More Heroes 3, again, is a real big one. I think without those two games, this would have been closer to a 5 for me.
Okay.
But overall, good Direct. Like I said at the beginning, good Direct, not great. But
Sure.
that's cool. I think there's a lot of stuff
Yeah.
for a lot of different types of players in this one.
All right.
Yeah.
Derek, you're up.
When I came out of this direct, I was like, that was all really good stuff. But looking in a more granular sense, reflecting on it, my opinion has dropped a little bit. That said, the big stuff is really big. Pyra, of course. Splatoon 3 is, of course, the hype is all heck. No More Heroes 3. Mario Golf is a legit surprise. And same with, I don't know why, but I'm legit interested in Famicom Detective Club. I think that has a lot of potential. And Miitopia, if only because I think that there's some fun to be had there. There's some really interesting, unique ideas in here and games I wouldn't mind picking up or reviewing. But nothing super megaton outside of, what you'd expect. So I'd probably fall in the 7.5, I think. Almost there. Almost a good return. But they can do better as far as the big games. I think one more big thing on the same level of Splatoon 3 or Pyra could easily put it to an 8 or 9.
Sure. Yeah, I'm pretty much in lockstep with you guys. I would say, like Steve said, it was a good direct, not a great one. I'm really excited. Again, I've mentioned Legend of Mana. That was a really cool surprise. That's awesome. Splatoon 3, I wasn't expecting at all. That's great to know that that's coming. It's in the works, and I love that they're going with the whole chaos thing. They're actually using the Splatfest to inform the story of the third game, like they did before. I love that. Miitopia on its face is pretty cool, and I love that it also opens the doors for potentially for other 3DS to Switch ports. Mario Golf Super Rush interested me in ways that I never expected it to, with the story mode and the speed golf mode. Of course, Pyra and Mythra, I'm pretty excited about that. Not like over the moon about it like you are, Derek, but I'm certainly happy that they're in. Fall Guys coming to Switch, I'm happy. I just wish it was coming sooner. So yeah, just in general, good direct, not great, and I think I'm settled at about a 7 out of 10 for this. So yeah, I think there's room for improvement, but for the first direct in over a year and a half, full-length direct, I'm pretty happy with it. And again, I'm really looking forward to seeing more about Pyra and Mythra and Smash, of course. So with that said, that brings us to the end of our post-direct discussion for today's episode of Today's News Tonight. But before we head out, Blessing, why don't you tell our wonderful audience where they can find more of you, man?
Yeah, once again, I am Blessing Adeoye Jr. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I am there at Blessing Jr. That is at Blessing JR. I make content over on youtube.com/kindafunnygames. We have a bunch of different shows and podcasts there, like Kinda Funny Games Daily, which is our video game news show. You have PS Love You XOXO, which is our PlayStation podcast, and much, much more, including The Blessing Show, which is my video essay / video feature series of videos that I do to break down what's up in the world of video games in under 10 minutes. And so if that sounds up your alley, definitely go over to youtube.com/kindafunnygames and check those out. And again, thanks again, guys, for having me here. I had a really good time discussing Nintendo Directs. Usually we don't get to break them down this granular over at Kinda Funny, and so this is a very good time, and I very much appreciate the depth that we went into.
Thank you,
hey, we're happy to have you anytime. We'd love to have you back. And by the way, we haven't mentioned this, but this is episode 50. So you are our very, very special guest for our 50th episode. So thank you for joining us for that. Yeah. I don't know who it was in the chat. It might have been Adam Davis, but somebody in the chat, Steve, mentioned or asked if you would be willing to do the EP dance in my stead, since I'm reading the list tonight. So I'll let you make that decision yourself. But all right.
I dance about as well as any person with my level of melanin can, so let's do this.
Nice. All right. Well, that brings us to the end. So, as always, we have to give a special thanks to everybody who helps make this show happen, particularly our producers, or our patrons at the producer tier and above, because without you, this show would not be possible. So thank you very much. And of course, a very, very special thank you to our patrons at the executive producer tier and above. And those fine people include, here we go, Jonathan Belmare, Brandon Bovia, Rob Arman X, Dan and Twistle, Z Patty, Hyrule Hermit, Sky Blue Flames, Adam O'Sullivan, Richard Herrera, Michael Phone, Floating Mute, Aiko Carroll, Christopher, The D-Pad, Guillaume Monet, Vesmio, Waffle King, Nick Waterman, Kitty Kong Fax, aka Jesse M, Vedran Hotik, Makalau, John, Joshua Hunter, Evernight Studio, Benny Yao, Shadow the Cat, Azrad127, Kinbrule09, Jake Pelka, Geller, Shiny Turkey, Joseph Rutkin, Titus Malvolio, Charlie Bird, Mitchell Herring, Lucky Wonderfish, Top Dog 23100, Brooke, Young Ben Kenobi, Charles Zaz, Douglas Chomix, Andrew Medeiros, Aurum M, Brady Power, Phantom 23, Scott Barber, Patrick Harrison, Rocks the Cat, Loyal Dingo, Flaming Highwayman, Sean Garrett, The Legend of Groose, Eddie B, Kai Ed, Kit Fisto, West Egg, Master Lynx, Sean Davis, Deaneth, Jackson Jordan, Michael McCall, Matthew Wong, Ashish Joshi, Goron Amber, Straight Lace, Seth Walker, Hoobie, Marcos Conchas, Wolf X Blake and Moon Macarons, Kane, Captain Finlandia, 60 minutes and 60 seconds, The Game Orb, Dano the Artist, Synchro Lord, Brainchild, Rosa Pardo Bowling.
I'm sorry, Mom. I love you, Mom. Hi, Mom.
Dark Umi 87, The Flying Tacos, Scuff 196, and finally, Naughty Senpai. Thank you all so much for your incredible support of our channel and everything we do. We really are so humbled by just all the support you've shown us. And as always, if you are interested in interacting with us and our special guests throughout today's news tonight, like our patrons have today, you can head on over to patreon.com/gvgaming, where you can join our live audience tier for $5 a month. But there are also other tiers that you can join if you are interested in supporting us, going all the way down to $1 a month. So we'd appreciate you if you can do that. But obviously, no matter what, we appreciate you regardless, because you're here with us, you're watching our show. So even if all you can do is drop a like and a subscribe, we are so thankful for that, and we appreciate every single one of our supporters. So with that said, we'll see you guys for our next show on Friday, and until then, good night and good vibes, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.